It's always a long, tiring journey home from off-roading in Ontario, and editing afterwards always ends in the same way. I've finished up the start of the directions from Beast Offroad, a common point of reference I use, but my eyelids are heavy, so we'll have to deal with the location later.
The first rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club.
After the directions, I like to do a flyover of the location. I have drone footage of the lake from Adam. After that, I could slow things down and introduce the audience to the peace and tranquility of Crown Land camping. I'm all alone in the middle of the lake. Feels like the absolute middle of nowhere. Surrounded by nothing but Crown Land. Not a sound other than my own breath. Just one logging road that happens to pass by. A low-level rock in the south. Flat rock. No sooner than leaving the pavement, we run into Keith on the way out. The guys that were up on the weekend left us firewood. Thanks so much, gents. That's so nice. Unfortunately, we weren't so lucky with the loons. Richard brought all his camera gear, but they were missing in action. But nature didn't let us down. It rewarded all our efforts to get into Flat Rock with a bucket list item that we had never imagined. Closer and closer, we pushed on with the rocky trail. Anticipating the morning sunrise. The campfire, a cup of tea, or a coffee, and sitting and enjoying the soothing sounds of the water. Closer. We're getting closer. Over the last bridge between us and our destination. But there'll be no loons this evening. Richard has the camera ready, but the loons are a no-show. Doesn't matter how far from the city, you can always find traffic, even in the middle of nowhere. And just like the city, they don't seem to know where they're going. Here they come back again 2 seconds later. Closer. Under the newly fallen birch trees. Will they fall further while we're here? Will we need chainsaws to get out? Who knows? Sooner rather than later, someone will have to deal with them to get in or out. There's barely any water crossings this year. They're reduced to mere puddles in the sunshine and small mud holes in the shadows. the steep rocky hills that don't look steep on camera. Dodging boulders with off-road truck war wounds that look tiny when recorded. This is no place for the family minivan, or even most unmodified off-road vehicles with stock tires. All the while, Flat Rock waits quietly for our arrival. Ready for us to light up our campfire, set up our tents, cook our dinner, and wait patiently for the loons. Closer. Around one more bend. Up one more rocky incline. Down one more rocky incline. Closer. Such a clear day. Shots of the stars will look incredible without the light pollution of the city. Closer. One more muddy water crossing. Finally, we can see it. There, just to the right. Down this last bit of rock maintained by the logging companies. Across the water. Onto the rocks, and we're here. I truly don't even know what this lake is called. It's not even labeled on Google Maps. Beautiful, silent, not another soul in sight. Time for a swim before we set up camp. Richard checks his gear, patiently waiting for the loons. As the sun sets, we're intrigued by the early night sky. The loons never arrive, so Richard experiments with a technique called light painting, using long exposures and a red light source for the trees. Shoots the Milky Way galaxy and the Big Dipper straight across the lake. Every photo is littered with satellites and shooting stars. Hey, what's that green tinge in the bottom left of the photos? Amazingly, we're graced with the northern lights, the aurora borealis in all its glory. Not to be outdone, the Big Dipper joins the scene front and center above the lake, a bucket list evening never to be forgotten. Like all getaways, this one had to come to an end. There were no loons, but Mother Nature didn't disappoint us, presenting the northern lights and capping it all off with the Big Dipper, picture perfect, front and center to the scene. I suppose I owe you a clear answer about the location of Flat Rock, and as you can probably guess, the answer is sort of like Fight Club. If you know, you know. You just don't talk about it. Thanks for watching. If you want to support me, you know what to do. Bye for now.